Good morning, good afternoon, good whenever you're watching. Today we're taking a journey with a tortoise. A tortoise is only different from a turtle, which you could call him a turtle, but a tortoise is a land turtle. And the turtle is an animalia, that's its bigger classification, and it is from the family of reptiles. So you know reptiles, snakes and all that stuff. The story we're going to tell was written by Richard Buckley, and it is illustrated by Eric Carle, who does all these wonderful, great colors. But it's a poem, and we're going to do it together in a little while. But before we do that, let's talk just a tiny little bit about tortoises or turtles, whatever you want. There have been lots of stories about turtles. You probably know the famous one. If this was a turtle and this was a rabbit, a hare, they call them in our very old story. It's like 2,500 years old. It's an Aesop fable. And the message is that the turtle is very, very slow. And the rabbit is very, very fast. But the rabbit has attitude. And the rabbit thinks he could beat the turtle. But this tortoise is slow and steady. And the hare keeps on running, and then it gets really decides, oh, look at that. The tortoise is all the way back there, so I'll take a nap. And he does. He takes a nap. And while he's taking a nap, of course, who moves slowly, but the tortoise. And when the hare gets up, he sees that the tortoise is ahead of him. So he chases after him. Ha ha, thought you could fool me. And then the tortoise keeps moving. How? Slowly, slowly, slowly. And the hare says, well, he's moving so slow. This time I'll take a really good snooze. And he does. Tortoise moves slowly, slowly, slowly. It's about to cross the finish line of the race when the hare wakes up, but not in time. What does that show us? Slow and steady wins the race. That was Mr. Aesop's fable. He was a Greek author who was taught to read and write by a man who took care of him, his master, unfortunately, but he freed him. And Aesop went on to do wonderful stories and became quite well known. So you're going to know some more Aesops. We'll tell them in another time. But what we need to do is to create just one puppet for today. Years ago, we in my household got not one, not two, but 3 slider turtles. They were water turtles. So they lived in the water. They only came up to eat. And we fed them. They liked fish, not themselves, of course. And they occasionally liked a vegetable. So they were what we would call in today's language pescatarians. And we loved them. And they lived with us for 35, 40 years. That's how old they were. But a tortoise can live to be 150. There's one living in the Galapagos Island. He's 150 years old, the longest living creature of that genus. So I just brought along a few because people would give us tortoises to share. So here's one of my faves. If you're ready, I'll play you a little music. Maybe we'll use that to introduce our story today. And here's another one. He's a mobile tortoise. And I call them tortoises all because this story is about a land tortoise. He moves along the land. And this one has wheels. Tortoises don't have wheels, but this one does. And let's see, I have one more for show and tell. I love show and tell. And this one is made from leftovers. So if you look really carefully at the artist who made him, look at that. This is a spoon of some sort. And underneath, excuse me, tortoise, he has screws that were bent by someone. I think what they probably did was they heated them and bent them like that. And then this is, you could probably see, a very long nail, a brad. And it goes from the top of his, this is called a bolt, nuts and bolts, head. And there's this shorter screw there. And all the way down to make his tail. I am very fond of him. And of course, because he's a song and dance tortoise, he has a cane. Maybe we should do some music to him. So he's over here while I show you how to make your very own with everyday objects. So I go to the grocery store, you go to the grocery store, and I get a lot of these. And I don't throw them out unless, the only way I ever throw them out is I recycle them. Our town picks up recyclables. This is a recyclable one. I like this one. This would be a good one. And then I have this one. This is cool. I have some extra stuff in here we may or may not use today. So this is what they look like when they hold the fruits and vegetables. And this is what they could look like when they become tortoises, or even turtles. These could become turtles because they could dive in the water. This one in particular because it can get wet. This one, in case you want to see what's happening, this one is clear, so you can even see me. Hello. So that's what we're going to do. But I think the one I'm going to use today, because I'm into color today, in spite of the fact that I may look like I'm not, is we're going to take one of these. Remember, we're going to turn it upside down. We've eaten our fruit or vegetables. I don't know what this had. And I'm going to cut just a little space. Why am I doing that? Because we need a way to get our tortoise's head inside its shell. This is called its shell. It's got a really fancy name. You can look it up or ask somebody else what it's called, but it's always very hard. And you'll see in our story why that's a good idea. So I think what I'll do, maybe I'll cut the other side. I should throw in the garbage too, right? And so that you can actually wear it pretty easy. If you don't happen to have one of these, a box works just as well. And pretty much all of us have boxes if we eat things like cookies and cereal, or mac and cheese, or spaghetti. And if you don't have one of those, use a bag. Anything you can get your hand in and out of. So this is our tortoise shell, and this is my hand. So right now it looks like my hand. That's very nice. But when the tortoise is seeking shelter or sleeping, the tortoise extracts his head from the outside and puts it on the inside. It's kind of cool to watch him. So I thought we should take something kind of fancy. What do you think? This is an extra, ooh, gave it away, right? This is called a rubber band. And this one's called my sock. And I had one because socks get lost. I don't know, you can ask. Almost everybody will agree. A sock gets lost. So when you take your sock, stretch your hand out inside, and then you take a rubber band, and that will help you move it up and down. And I picked this extra sock, although it's not much of a choice because it's one extra one, because of its colors. It's really cool. Tortoises come in beautiful colors. So here he comes. Ready? Don't imagine I'm not here. Oh, there I am. And here comes the tortoise. Uh-oh. I'm going to take him out of his shell for a minute because I forgot something. Sorry, bud. Do you need eyes? He needs eyes. Okay, would you hold my stickers? Thank you very much. I like to make sure that my creatures, I know, he doesn't like to be called a creature, have eyes to see where he's going. And also it's a really good way to know what the front is. So I'm going to put on these colorful eyes because this tortoise is a very colorful character. See, got it? Now, he could also be a reptile, snake, because that's the same family, right? And in our story, but for today, he could be a tortoise, and you can make him really easily. And then, really cool thing, really cool, when you're all done and you're walking around with only one sock, you say, hey, not to worry, put it back on. No sock is harmed in the making of that puppet. So that's one tortoise you can make, or turtle if you want to dive deep. And here's another one with, my favorite material called paper plates. And I kind of like this one almost better because you get to design the shell of your tortoise. So if you got markers, great. If you've got these funky things, these are called Post-its. You could just make a Post-it design. I'm not going to bother you with all those details, but tortoises have scales actually on their shells. And you can tell when they're getting ready to get a new shell because they shed them. Just like dogs shed hair, this is their form of fur. So I just put a few on so you'll see the idea. You can also mix and match and put on markers. That would be way cool. But where does the head come from? So glad you asked. Now, if you have been watching some of these problems, take this, and I'm going to do something just a little bit different. So what I need is to make a way for our friend the tortoise to get, I'll pick it up later, in and out of its shell. So I'm going to make 2 holes, and if you fold it over, everything goes much faster. Ah. Whoa! Having a little trouble with it. So I'm going to open it up now. See what I did? If you flipped a tortoise, which you don't want to do because I don't like it, upside, let me see if I can show you this. That's good. So I'm just going to show you another form of tortoise. Now, if you put this like this, and we take our handy dandy stapler, show you, I won't be able to see you, but you'll be able to see me doing it. That's cool. And we just put a few in. Why are we doing that? So he doesn't lose the shell while we're telling our story. If you decide to use this one, you make it. All right, we've got one more thing to do. He's got a shell. He's got an underbody, which is way softer than his hard shell. And this is his rib cage. It's on the reverse. So you can read a lot about tortoises. They are very cool. Now, if my hand were the head of a turtle, I would slide it in like that. And then I would have head of a tortoise, head of a turtle. But if I'm feeling that I want to do something a little more special, not that there's anything more special than your hand, right? But if I wanted to do something a little more interesting, let's do it that way. What I would do is take one of these, more plates, and I would make like, let's just call it an oval shape. What is nice about these cheapo plates is you may have used one before, and that's okay. So it's going to look kind of like a dog bone. And I hold it up to you. There it is, a dog bone. So what's it going to be? Oh, I can't do that. That's silly. I'm so sorry. It's going to have a dog bone that has a pointy on the end. So it's a dog bone on the top, kind of duo. You can watch this later to see what it was that I did. Okay, so that's, we're going to pretend that's his tail for now, just for time's sake. Remember we did about eyes before? Well, I think I'll take a different pair. So let's see, what do you think? I was thinking, nah, these, they look like green olives. That's what we're going to do. Big fan of olives. So maybe I'll even call my tortoise olive. All right, so where are we going to put it? This is his tail. This is his head. One over here. One over here. Cool. Then what we're going to do to create a little bit of magic is to put this tortoise head like that. Okay. So let's pretend our tortoise, and this is all decorated so beautiful. You could paint it, you can crayon it, you can marker it, you can leave it plain. Maybe he just wants to be plain. When the tortoise is walking along, but tortoise sees danger, the tortoise would retract its head. That keeps it safe from anything that might be interested in it. We don't know yet because we haven't read our story yet, but it also is a way for the tortoise to go to sleep. When the tortoises sleep, they extract their head and their tail. So we've made ours so that they're both gone when the head is extracted. Gotcha. So paper plate, one way. Fruit or vegetable tray, another way. Hand, another way. Let me see. And then I made a really fancy one because I've told this story a couple of times, and I am very fond of tortoises, as you know. because I had three. We had one tortoise. Let me rephrase that. We had one tortoise. His name was Boxy. And Boxy would walk around the living room. This is even before our kiddos were born. And he would eat hamburger, loved raw hamburger. And then one day, truth told, he walked out the door. And he's out there somewhere. So you see him. This was 40 years ago. If you see him, would you let me know? And then we got 3 water turtles. They dove deep into the water, came up on a log, and we would feed them that way. So they were with us for a long time, I said before. So I love tortoises and turtles. They are luck in some cultures. And our own front door, that I'd share this with you because it always makes me smile, we would warn people. These premises are patrolled by an attack turtle. It wasn't true. There's nothing in my house is guarded by an attack of much of anything except me. And I like to greet people with a smile. So let me introduce you to the hero of our story. I think you'll like him. He has a problem. And some of us have the same kind of problem, especially around now. And what our tortoise wants to do is relieve itself of a burden, something that the tortoise feels is weighing him down. So what do you think that might be? We all, every once in a while, feel that way. So, but the tortoise's life is much simpler. And the tortoise also thinks that if it did not have its shell, it could roam freer and faster. So that's the theory behind our story, our beginning and our middle and our end of our story. So let me show you the book that we are about to. I'm going to read it to you a little bit. And why? Because it's a beautiful poem. And I will be with you all the time. And let me show you the book, just in case you might want to find it in the library. It's called The Foolish Tortoise. And it's illustrated by Eric Carle. You might even recognize some of these beautiful illustrations because he did some of our favorite books, including The Very Hungry Caterpillar. So he likes creatures like that. So let me show you. Maybe there he is, our tortoise out for a walk. And I don't want to give you away, but look, we have birds and we got bees and we got big old fish. So all of these creatures that our friend the tortoise meets, we can do with our other hand. So we don't need a lot of puppets. We just need one tortoise, if you've got the time. We are going to be visited by one other puppet. I'm going to actually start our story that way because that's how our day starts out. And our day starts out when we look outside, we hope, and we see the beautiful sun. So I'm going to introduce you to the sun first, so you'll recognize it when it comes up in the morning. So sunny and bright, beautiful. Thank you, sun. Put you up in the sky, and I'll get you later. Sun. All right. Now, my friend, I am going to introduce you to one of my funkiest characters, the tortoise. So if you are ready, we know how story starts, correct? We do. Yep, I heard you. Once upon a time. Once upon a time, a tortoise, tired of being slow, impatient to get up and go, took off his large and heavy shell and left it lying where it fell. "Hooray!" he cried. "Now I've been freed. I'll see the world at double speed." Though faster he was not express, and the protection was far less. So when he heard a hornet drone, the tortoise crept beneath a stone. A hungry bird came swooping past. He looked so fierce and flew so fast, the tortoise hid behind some trees and felt quite weak below the knees. I don't feel safe. There's too much risk. If only I could be more brisk. He headed for the riverbed. A fish swam up. The tortoise fled. Along his way, our hero went and almost had an accident. A snake with open jaws drew near. The tortoise backed away in fear. A hare, a hound, woof, woof, woof. A horse, giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, passed by. So rapidly they seemed to fly. The tortoise gasped, sat goggle-eyed. I'll never be that quick, he sighed. He wandered on. The sun rose bright. I wish I had more shade, he cried. A sudden thunderstorm swept in and soaked the tortoise to the skin. The wind rose up, and soon the breeze was bending branches in the trees. The tortoise shivered. Now I'm cold. I wish I hadn't been so bold. I think I've lost the urge to roam. I think it's time that I went home. Without my shell, I don't feel right. So when his shell came into sight, he climbed back in and said, good night. What a wonderful message. Sometimes we think we don't need the things that are holding us back. And sometimes we just need to find out. There's nothing wrong with curiosity. That is the best thing about us. But it is always, always good to go to a place that is safe, a place that is guarded, and a place that is totally good to be. For our turtle, it was the shell. So what is it for you? And what is it for me? I thank you for visiting with us today. Make a tortoise, make a turtle. Tell a story, write one, and live how? I heard you. Happily ever after. See you next time.